We are in our mid-20s in a female-male relationship. We have been together for 6 years. Throughout the relationship, I have grown into my own person, finishing college, getting a good job, the whole shebang. He, on the other hand, has not even scratched the surface of being able to sustain himself. Here are a few problems and a few situations. 1. I've been rethinking the relationship because of my family. I know they want what's best for me, so I understand where they're coming from. Their advice is to find someone who can help and support me financially, someone who is near or on equal footing with myself. The more I pay for our lunches, dinners, and excursions, the more I start to feel a certain way. Like, why should I pay for all of this for us? Before, I had no issue because I did like to spoil him a bit. Now it's getting kind of old, and I, too, would like to be spoiled. 2. We were raised basically totally opposite. I know if I'm going to an event or somewhere nice that I also need to look the part. I know how to dress up for the occasion. He, on the other hand, does not. He doesn't put effort into his looks. And it's not like he doesn't have the clothes because he's been supplied with them for literally the past 6 years by me and my family. I have to convince him to let me do his hair so it looks kept. I feel like I have to beg for him to dress decently. 3. Again, with the no effort, he doesn't try to plan dates whatsoever. I've shown him free to cheap and affordable date plans, and yet there's no effort to plan and take me out, ever. I would be happy with something as simple as a little picnic or making dinner together, but no, nothing. Then when I express this want, his go-to is, "It's too expensive, I don't have money," even after showing him free things to do. There is free entry to parks and museums that we can go to. Adding to this, he has been wanting to propose. The problem is, not only did he have me pick out my own ring, but he also asked how he should do the proposal. Once again, I gave him cheap and doable ideas, such as getting some flowers and making a wooden sign at the beach or something. You can get the materials at Walmart and Home Depot, or in a park. Just need the ring. Afterwards, he looked at some of the inspiration pictures I have sent him and saw some random price of $100 to $250 for some particular setup fee at the beach. Then he told me, what you want and how you want it done is too expensive. For some reason, he refused to ask my best friend for help in planning. To be honest, I don't think he's even given it any thought since the last time we spoke about it. Number 4. The kicker of all of this. He likes to buy, sell, and trade vehicles, and he does work on his own time. It's not like he has no money, just not what I make. 5. I feel lots of frustration and jealousy toward my coworkers and friends. We are all at a point in life where a bunch of people are getting married. I work in a male-dominated environment, so most of my coworkers are guys. I'm excited to be a part of their conversations, especially when they express how much they love and appreciate their partners. I always envisioned that's how my boyfriend would talk about me. I'm pretty sure this isn't the case, though. I get jealous when I hear them and their excitement about how they are designing rings and explaining how they're going to propose. One guy proposed and really made it magical for her. He knows she loves Disney, so why not give her a whimsical proposal? He even went ahead and paid for a local photographer to capture the moment as well. By the way, the pictures and everything were amazing. Why can't I have that? Number 6. In my boyfriend's previous relationship, he paid ungodly amounts of money for stage tickets for his last girlfriend and his best friend, and then some, spending thousands. For me, it seems as though the most he can do is sometimes pay for my coffee and sometimes a meal or two. 7. I've been feeling used, like I'm someone to keep the bed warm and someone dumb enough to pay for all his stuff. We've had now 3 or so conversations within the past year about our relationship and how I'm feeling about it. I even brought up taking a break from each other, which he rejected. After each talk, he does put in more effort, but after about 2 months, it's back to the same stuff. Some extra context. Yes, he is depressed, but I am as well. Yes, people handle things differently. His love language is physical touch. I don't like being touched, but for his sake, I let him. Mine, I have no clue. I haven't left because, dare I say, we are trauma bonded. He's also going through a difficult time in life with his family. I never want to see him in pain and struggle when I have the means to help, But we are getting to a point when I'm starting to feel used, and it feels like things are going in one ear and out the other for him. I love him very much, and I know he seems like he loves me to others. But when the actions above are on display, it definitely feels like he doesn't. No, the bad doesn't outweigh the good entirely. He helps my family, grandparents, parents, and brothers in many ways. He helps out my family, friends, and close friends. He can be very selfless to others that are not his family. I don't know, maybe I'm thinking too negatively about this. Should I stay? Should I leave? Another talk? Like, what do I do? Now, for a few comments before the update. Well, actually, this post didn't have any comments. Now for the update. A couple of days after my last post, I had to go to my parents' anniversary dinner with my boyfriend. Y'all, the vibe was so off. Like, I could practically hear the awkward silence. My family was being all passive-aggressive with their comments about my boyfriend and his lack of ambition. My mom was going on about how proud she was of me for finishing college and landing a good job. Meanwhile, my boyfriend was shifting uncomfortably in his seat like he was trying to avoid a disaster. Dinner was just as awkward. My dad, trying to lighten the mood, jokingly suggested a toast to future engagements. Yeah, that went over really badly. Everyone laughed uncomfortably, and I could feel the heat rising in my cheeks. I looked over at my boyfriend, and he was just scrolling through his phone like he was on a mission to ignore the world. No conversation, no engagement, just the sound of his thumb swiping left and right. After dinner, my younger sister pulled me aside and asked if I was really happy with him. She said she was just checking in, but honestly, it felt like she was dropping a bomb and walking away. I mean, what was I supposed to say? I love him, but, is that a good enough answer? That night, while we were cleaning up, I found a receipt for a fancy dinner he had with some friend last week. I was like, are you kidding me? A freaking fancy dinner? I confronted him about it the next day, and he said it was a special offer. A special offer? Meanwhile, he never plans anything like that for us, ever. So I pushed him to explain why he never plans dates for us. I mean, why is it that I'm always the one doing the planning and paying? I get it. He said he doesn't have the same financial freedom, but come on. He had just sold a vehicle the other day. We got into this argument about our different priorities and lifestyles. I mean, I work hard for my money, and yeah, I'm probably in a better financial position than him. But is it too much to ask for him to at least try to meet me halfway? I decided, screw this. I needed a break from our usual routine, so I went out with my friends instead. I had a blast, but when I got home, my boyfriend was sulking on the couch. He looked like a little kid who had his toy taken away. He accused me of abandoning him, which led to yet another argument about our relationship. It was like we were stuck in this endless loop of fighting and not really getting anywhere. The following weekend, we went to a family wedding together. I thought it might be a good way to ease the tension between us. Nope, not even close. I caught him chatting closely with some old friend, and I felt this weird knot in my stomach. It was like, hello, radar on high alert. He kept asking me if I wanted to dance, but when we finally did, he stepped on my toes like it was his personal mission to make me feel embarrassed in front of my family. Later, while we were sitting at the table, I overheard him making jokes with his friends about our relationship. Like, are you freaking kidding me? He stormed off, and I was left sitting there, feeling like the biggest fool in front of my family. The next day, I got a text from him saying he needed space. Space? Yeah, because that's what we need. More space. A week later, I decided to meet him to talk things over. When I saw him, he seemed so distant and uninterested. He said he felt pressured by my expectations. I was like, what expectations? Wanting you to plan a freaking date. We agreed to take a break, but ended up fighting again about who should initiate contact. After the break, I found out from my sister that he went out with friends on a trip I had planned for us. I mean, seriously? He went on a trip with friends that I planned for us while we were on a break? I was fuming. We finally met to talk, but he dropped a huge surprise on me. He was considering moving to another city for a job opportunity. I mean, what the heck? I just don't know what to do anymore. This whole situation is exhausting. I feel like I'm carrying the weight of this relationship on my shoulders, and I'm just about ready to drop it. To answer a few questions, my boyfriend works in retail and has a side business selling vehicles. He has sold 2 vehicles recently, but he didn't use any of that money for dates. My family is supportive, but concerned about my relationship. My sister has been the most vocal about her concerns. We have been living together for a year, but we aren't on a lease anymore. I pay most of the bills, but he contributes what he can. We are both in our mid-20s. Am I the idiot for canceling the embryo transfer after discovering my boyfriend's secret hotel getaway? I am 37 years old and have been in a relationship with my boyfriend for 4 years now. My partner has repeatedly expressed doubts about our compatibility, even going as far as telling me he's not in love with me. This has created ongoing emotional distance and insecurity, making it hard for me to feel safe and connected. This uncertainty has been a recurring theme in our relationship for years and affects every decision we try to make together. One of the most challenging aspects is that he seems to have 1 foot in and 1 foot out of the relationship. He frequently reminds me that our relationship is conditional, which adds instability and makes me feel like I'm constantly walking on eggshells. He hasn't fully committed, and this indecision has strained our bond, making it feel more temporary than a true partnership. While he hasn't explicitly said that I'm not smart enough for him, he has implied it in hundreds of subtle ways, like pointing out when I'm bad with directions, don't know how to drive, or even how to put batteries in. These seemingly minor things trigger anxiety in him, as if my perceived shortcomings make him question whether I'm the right partner. He's told me that these behaviors make him feel disconnected from me, and that has only added more strain to our relationship. I suspect he places a high value on control and competence in everyday life, and when I struggle with tasks he considers basic, it seems to clash with the type of partner he envisions. Beyond that, I've been going through perimenopause, which began in my early 30s, and it's impacted my life in significant ways. Over the past 4 years, I've experienced brain fog, anxiety, a lack of sharpness, fatigue, and exhaustion, all of which have made daily functioning harder. Now, at 37, I'm undergoing in vitro fertilization treatment due to premature ovarian failure. The combination of perimenopause and in vitro fertilization has been physically and emotionally draining. My partner has expressed that he can't provide the emotional support I need right now, and that he feels disconnected from me because of how all of this affects us. His inability to overcome these feelings and the distance it creates has left me feeling even more isolated. We've also gone through fertility treatments together and have frozen embryos. With my premature ovarian failure diagnosis, I need to implant the embryos soon if I want a chance at having children. This urgency adds another layer of pressure to our already fragile relationship. Despite everything, I still want to make it work, because if it does, I could have the family I've long hoped for. We've fallen into unhealthy patterns of frequent arguments, and the emotional distress has become a regular part of our lives. I know these patterns aren't healthy, but it's not easy to walk away with so much at stake, especially given our shared journey with fertility and the emotional and physical toll that has come with it. His anxiety, particularly around my upcoming endometriosis surgery and the potential of parenthood, has only deepened my feelings of uncertainty. He's expressed fears of responsibility, doubts about our future, and concerns over whether I meet his ideal standards for a partner, which has left me questioning whether this relationship can work. I know people might say, just leave, but it's not that simple. With everything we've been through, the in vitro fertilization treatments, and my hope for a family, I'm looking for advice on how to navigate this incredibly complex situation, with my emotions, health, and future in mind. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. I think you know what to do. Infertility is such a difficult and draining process, emotionally, mentally, physically, and spiritually. In my humble opinion, you need a stable, safe, committed environment and partnership, or at least you need to not feel like you're constantly on the verge of breaking up. Comment 2. How is this any form of a healthy relationship? It sounds way more like a codependency, and those never work out in the long run. You cannot fix him. You can only fix yourself, and the obvious solution is to move on and find someone who can actually give you a healthy relationship. Now, for the update. 3 days after my last post, my boyfriend suggested we take a weekend trip to a cabin in the woods. He thought it would help us chill and reconnect. I was unsure, but I agreed, hoping we could bond before the embryo implantation. So, we packed our bags, left the city, and headed to the cabin. It was beautiful and secluded, just like in the movies, but the vibe was off from the start. My boyfriend was glued to his phone, checking work emails and messages. I tried to start a convo, but he was distant and distracted. On the second night, I was in the kitchen making dinner when I overheard him on a video call in the other room. I wasn't trying to eavesdrop, but it was hard not to. I caught bits of the conversation, including him saying he wasn't ready for the next steps in our relationship. I froze. My heart sank. He ended the call quickly when he noticed me walking into the room. I confronted him about the call, but he brushed it off, claiming it was work-related. I wanted to believe him, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Later that night, while cleaning up, I found a crumpled receipt in his jacket pocket for a hotel in the city. It was dated for the week before our trip. My suspicions were confirmed. When I asked him about it, he laughed it off, saying it was for a surprise party he was planning. A surprise party for who? I thought. On our last night at the cabin, we tried to have a heart-to-heart, but it quickly turned into an argument. He accused me of being paranoid. I insisted he was dismissive of my feelings. Frustrated, he stormed out, leaving me alone in the cabin. I barely slept that night. The next day, we went home, and I decided to dig deeper into his story about the hotel. I went through his emails and found a confirmation for a weekend getaway at the hotel with someone else. My heart dropped. Instead of confronting him right away, I decided to wait for the right moment. 2 days later, we had a family dinner, and he was invited. During dinner, the conversation turned to relationships. My boyfriend made a comment about loyalty. I seized the moment and casually mentioned how I found the hotel receipt. The room went silent as everyone turned to him. He looked visibly shaken. He stammered, trying to defend himself, claiming it was for a business meeting. I pulled out the email confirmation, holding it up for everyone to see. Family members began to question him, and the tension escalated. He tried to deflect blame onto me, saying I pushed him away. Just as he prepared to leave the table, I revealed I had canceled the embryo transfer. The family gasped. My boyfriend finally lost his temper, shouting that I was ruining everything. I shot back that he was the one ruining our future by being dishonest. I announced that I was moving out of our shared apartment, effective immediately. He tried to negotiate, but I firmly stated there would be no reconciliation. Family members supported my decision, expressing disappointment in his behavior. He stormed out, and I was surrounded by family who stood by me. The next few weeks were a blur. I found a new apartment and started the process of moving out. My boyfriend tried to reach out, but I ignored his calls and messages. I needed space to heal. I also spoke with my doctor about the embryo transfer. She was supportive of my decision to cancel it, given the circumstances. I never thought I would be in this position, but I felt empowered. My friends were amazing through it all. They helped me move, brought me food, and listened to me vent. I felt lucky to have such a strong support system. As for my boyfriend, he tried to reach out through mutual friends, but I made it clear that I didn't want to talk to him. I was done. Looking back at the whole situation, I realized how far I had come. I was still dealing with the effects of perimenopause and IVF, but I was learning to prioritize my happiness. This experience taught me to trust my instincts. I had doubts about my boyfriend for a reason. I was still figuring things out, but I knew I would be okay. I had my family, friends, and a new apartment. Life was looking up. To answer a few questions, my boyfriend had brought up the idea of a trip before, but it never happened. This trip felt different, almost like a last-ditch effort on his part to save our relationship. The hotel receipt was for a 2-night stay, and I found an email confirmation for a couple's spa package. I didn't mention the email confirmation to my family right away, as I wanted to ensure he was telling the truth about its purpose. Moving out was challenging but liberating, and my family's support made a big difference. Am I the idiot for dumping my ghosting boyfriend after he partied while I was drowning in work? My boyfriend and I have been dating for over 3 years now. The first 2 years of our relationship were amazing, and we were deeply in love. We have had our issues now and then, but they have become very prominent over the past couple of months. We both work full-time, and it can be hard setting aside time to see each other recently. Due to our schedules, we can only see each other on the weekends, as we are both too tired to see each other during the week. Last weekend, I had a major assignment due. I'm also studying, and it took up a better part of my weekend. I let him know early on, Friday night, that I probably cannot see him that weekend, as I really have to work on this assignment. He seemed fine, and I proposed we see each other on Monday night instead, and he agreed. Monday rolls around, and he is very dry over text. He only sent me a good morning text and has not responded to anything I've said. He told me he finished work around 6, and that was the only conversation we had for the day. I then assumed our plans were canceled and that I would just see him on the weekend like we usually do. Tuesday rolls around, and I haven't heard from him all day. He sends me a text at 2 p.m. letting me know he's finished work early and can hang out. I let him know that it wouldn't work for me, and my only free time that week would be on Monday night, and I apologized. Ever since Tuesday, he has not responded to my message and has just left me on read. This situation has happened several times in the past, where we can't see each other for a weekend because I have an assignment due, or he has plans with friends, etc. Usually when this happens, I would like to think I'm very understanding towards him, and I do not try to make him feel bad about seeing his friends or pursuing his hobbies during the weekend. 99% of the time, when I am busy, it is due to either work or study, not because I am seeing friends or pursuing hobbies. My priority after my studies is him. However, when I cannot see him one weekend, he gets very upset. His lack of communication when he is upset is a major issue for me, as I cannot read his mind, and I don't know what is wrong. I have brought it up with him in the past and told him he needs to communicate with me when something is wrong. I always try calling him and texting him first, and he either tells me he will call me back later, which he never does, or he takes hours, 5 to 6, to respond to my text when I ask him what is wrong. This time around, I decided to give him the space, and he will reach out when he wants to. It's almost been a week, and I am just going insane now. My heart is hurting, and I don't know what to do. I've tried to address this situation so many times in the past, and I feel like my needs are not being met. I know he is fine, as I can see when he is online on social media. I am tired of the mind games, and I just can't take it anymore. My self-esteem is so low currently, and I just feel like I have done something so wrong, and I'm just getting hit with a hard brick wall. It pains me because I still love him, and I do want to see him. I have told him this so many times, but I am in a very busy period of my life, and I need to do well with my studies. I am in the process of interviewing for medical school. I'm stressed as it is, and this is just sitting so heavily on my heart, and I don't know what to do. Do I reach out to him and break that boundary I've set? Do I take it as a sign to just move on if I don't hear back from him in the next couple of days? What if he does reach out? What do I do? Thank you, and sorry for the long read. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. You deserve better than this. Do not reach out until he does, and when or if he does, just ask him point blank where he was. Everyone has busy schedules unless they are filthy rich, lazy, or something else. This excuse is lame, and you know it already. Prepare yourself to move on because he probably already has. Comment 2. Original poster. You are obviously ambitious and a hard worker. Does this man really want to sulk over this? Immature and pathetic. Now for the update. It's been 3 weeks since I last heard from my boyfriend. I reached out a few times, but he didn't respond. I decided to focus on my studies and try to figure things out. My family planned a big Thanksgiving dinner, and I was excited to see everyone. I invited my boyfriend, hoping he would come. A few days before Thanksgiving, I got a text from him saying he wasn't coming. He didn't give a reason, just said he was busy. I went to Thanksgiving dinner, feeling uneasy about the situation. My parents and siblings gathered at our house for the feast. My brother Jake brought his wife Rachel and their baby. My parents were in a good mood, cracking jokes and reminiscing. During dinner, My dad asked if I was seeing anyone special. I mentioned my boyfriend, trying to keep things light. The conversation shifted to Jake and Rachel's baby, bringing joy to the table. After dinner, I stepped outside to get some fresh air. I saw my mom talking to my dad, looking concerned. I overheard her mention my boyfriend's recent behavior. I decided to call him later that night, wanting to sort things out. He picked up, but sounded distracted. He said he was busy with work and didn't have time to talk. The next day, I went to a coffee shop to study. I ran into an old friend from high school. We caught up, and she asked about my boyfriend. My friend mentioned that she saw him at a local bar last weekend. She said he looked fine, laughing and having a good time. I decided to confront him about it. I texted him asking about the bar incident. He replied saying he was just out with some friends. I didn't buy it and called him out on his lack of communication. He finally agreed to meet up the next day to talk. We met at a diner, a place we used to go to a lot. When I arrived, he looked different, almost uneasy. I asked him straight up why he's been distant. He revealed he's been feeling overwhelmed and unsure about our relationship. He admitted he's been spending time with another girl from work. There was no resolution, just an awkward silence. Edit. I had a long week after our conversation, trying to wrap my head around everything. I didn't reach out to him, and he didn't reach out to me. I had my final exams, which were stressful but went well. My family noticed I was off and tried to cheer me up. I went home for winter break, where my parents were supportive. I ended things with my boyfriend over text after talking with my parents. It was hard, but felt necessary. I'm focusing on myself now. If you liked this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.